Brilliance Audio.
The Second Time Around by Mary Beesley. Performed by Amy Landon. To my mom, Bonnie Jean, for believing in me. Chapter 1. Claire. The cotton canvas lay before her like a white sky, blinding in its blankness. It was only 2 feet by 3 feet, but she thought it would swallow her whole. She'd disappear into that vast emptiness. Who would notice? Her daughters? They had left, moved on. Claire Kehoe set her half-drunk tea on a paint-splattered table in her garage and picked up a brush. She rummaged through her watercolors, her stack of textured papers, and the basket of fabric scraps and broken seashells. No fertile energy rose from her soul. No seeds of creation sprouted. She peeled back her lips and hissed at the emptiness, trying to fill it. The sound echoed through her ribs, and, finding nothing to cling to, dissipated into the heavy silence. Maybe she shouldn't have taken down the love notes from her late husband that she'd pinned to the wall. At the beginning of their relationship, 22 years ago, Stevie had written her lines of love like a romantic poet. They'd stopped coming after the first 6 months, before the baby was even born. She'd ripped them down one particularly bad night 7 years ago. He'd stumbled into the house, drunk as the bourbon bottle he set on the kitchen counter. Claire dropped it, empty, into the bin before following him to the room they shared. She caught him pissing on the bathroom counter. "Stevie, that's the sink, not the toilet." She kept her voice quiet so the girls wouldn't wake. They'd been asleep for hours. He turned at the sound of her unhappy voice and sprayed urine over the hand towel and wall. Glassy-eyed, he looked over the mess as the last of it dribbled onto the floor. He giggled. He laughed so hard he couldn't get his pants up. She bit her tongue, holding back from demanding he fix it. Fix it all. Confrontation would only make him mean. She knew from experience. She'd tried all the tactics. Giving in and steering clear worked best. Maybe he'd feel guilty in the morning and try to make amends. Clean up the bathroom, at least. She didn't plan on it. Instead, she'd escaped to the garage, torn up the notes, the lies, and painted until she couldn't keep her eyes open. She'd taken her daughters back to school shopping with the earnings she'd made from that epic piece of artwork. Salmon salads for lunch in Newport, and the stupid expensive donut place for dessert. They'd stopped on the way home and gotten Indy her second set of ear piercings. From a night of pain, Claire had made a day of sparkles. Now, glancing over at the racks along the wall of her garage-turned-art studio, she could almost still see the papers clipped there, and their hastily scratched messages. "I just wanted to thank you for being so good to me. You make me so happy. I've loved you since I first saw you waltz into our sophomore chemistry class. I am amazed by how big of a heart you have. I will protect you from harm. I will always treasure you. Love, Stevie." She ran her fingers through the silky paintbrush hairs, trying to remember what she'd felt back when Stevie's words crystallized into a double-edged sword, cutting her up inside and fueling her art, reminding her of the fireworks she'd felt at the beginning of their high school romance, and the pain she'd felt when their love had burned out, leaving only ashes and faded dreams. She closed her eyes, looking inside herself for that creative flicker of heat and life and passion. But her internal fire was cold, same as yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. She set down her brush, picked up her lukewarm tea, and walked back inside her clean, quiet house. She circled her bedroom, bed made up, dresser dusted, laundry folded. In the bathroom, the mirrors sparkled, and her makeup was assembled in neat rows in the drawer. Stevie's sink was bare, except for the rattlesnake plant that lived where his soap used to be. No beard hairs on the counter or pee on the toilet seat. It was 10:30 in the morning, and she'd already done all the chores she could think of and a Pilates session. She floated down the hall. Her daughters' rooms were dark and lonely.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?